please. And go back to assignment number, study goal number 17, your list of biomes. I told you we would finish the aquatic biomes at another time. This is that other time. Does somebody happen to have their cell phone out for some reason?
Yeah.
Could you please make a posting on the class Facebook group that ASEPS is canceled this week? That neither Wednesday nor Thursday, no movies this week. Neither today nor tomorrow, neither day. No movies this week. No after school coaching. Tell them that Jose says sorry, too much gas. Fishing's good. I wish I could blame it on the fishing. If I was going fishing, I would just say it. But no, it's not the fishing.
What is it?
Well, we had a parent cancel. We had another parent tell me that they might need to cancel because a younger sibling is ill. Then I lost the questions for one of the movies, and I don't think I'll have time to prepare paper for it. And then because I'm going to be absent on Friday, I didn't leave my classroom set up on Thursday, so test stuff would already be out, and so I wouldn't want the kids to be here on Thursday night anyway. Previous years, I switched show times on exam week to Tuesday, Wednesday, so that I could set up on Thursday nights, but this year I forgot, so like this is too many things at once. Plus, I don't know if anybody really wants to go. They're not the best movies, and today in particular with the PSAT, everybody's all burned out.
But it's worth extra.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I'm sorry to cause your points. Actually, I'm not sorry, but
Everyone should just get the certificate.
yeah, totally not. Okay. So let's start with the aquatic biomes. A wetland, like it sounds, is not exactly an aquatic biome. It's water on land, wet land, land that is wet. Either part of the time or all the time. And there's hopefully just one thing that you will always remember about wetlands, that they are hyper-productive because of the water and the nutrients and the silt, the sediment and the light and the warmth. These tend to be some of the most productive square feet on the planet. Not necessarily high altitude wetlands, but as you go lower and lower in elevation, they become more and more productive. And they're also variable, very much variable. They have a lot of variation in conditions. So they have extra diversity, which makes them extra spicy. And they offer food and habitat and nursery for a whole lot of wildlife. This is some of the highest habitat value of any square footage on the planet. Some of the highest habitat value. A wetland can be as simple as a place that doesn't drain in the middle of Oklahoma.
So a lake.
So technically, lakes have a drain, but like a pond or a puddle or a pool, you know, just like a spot that doesn't soak up very well, that actually makes a perfectly good wetland. If that water happens to stay there for like a few weeks or a few months at a time, the mosquitoes will lay there, the frogs will come by and put their eggs in there. If it lasts 3 months, you can expect birds to probably target it. If it's a reliable puddle, it pretty much makes a perfectly fine wetland. And wetlands can occur at sea level. There are forests which are adapted to have wet feet, like cypress swamps. And of course, there's a very special type of coastal wetland called a mangrove forest. Super neat. These are trees that have snorkels to breathe underwater. So they'll have like special root branches that poke through the low tide line so they can get gas exchange to their roots. The plants can survive being fully submerged. So when high tide comes in, mangrove is a tree that can be flooded under salt water, which is actually kind of unique. You can see the extreme productivity there. Oh, someday, if we have time, remind me to tell you my very scary moment in a mangrove swamp. Wetlands also have major value to humans that you should know about. They are, first of all, a nursery for our fisheries. So some of the most valuable fisheries on Earth depend on wetlands. Halibut, salmon, they are directly using wetlands. A lot of coastal species depend on species that are nursed in wetlands. So big impact on fisheries. But I have to use an analogy that I'm guessing you may understand. If you have ever done the dishes, or seen your maid / butler / mom do the dishes, maybe you've noticed that if you leave the sink in the drain, the faucet, oh my god, I can't get my words out right. It's written right there, sorry. If you leave the sponge in the drain, does the water go out faster or slower? Slower, right? Because it kind of blocks that water flow. Does that make sense to everybody? And then, are you going to have water going down the drain for a shorter period of time or a longer period of time compared to no sponge? Because, it's going to slow it down and it's going to drip out the sponge, right? And what is that sponge going to have in it after you've just done the dishes and you let all the water drain through that sponge? What's that sponge going to catch?
Nasty stuff.
All the funk that you had on your dishes? Well, wetlands do exactly that. They slow flooding because they absorb water and then they maintain water flow. They keep the river flowing because like a sponge, it's going to leach out of that wet soil over time. But like a sponge, that wetland will filter the water flow. So we humans, we really need wetlands. On the coast, they protect us from storms, but uphill, they have the sponge effect. They moderate flooding, they filter the water, and then they allow that gradual seepage over time. Sponge effect. I hope you can explain that. That's like a college sport thing. They ask that question a whole lot. I don't think they call it the sponge effect. That's not a science word. That's a Jose term. Of course, these are also really valuable to us. They're flat land, usually near water, which is where humans like to live, flat land near water. So we've really impacted these. They're also good soil, so we've made farms there. Yeah.
What's the scientific?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Groundwater recharge, bioremediation, flood prevention, I think would be the sciencey ways to say the sponge effect. These make really nice places to build your cities, like, downtown Santa Barbara. This used to all be coastal wetland, the entire city. From the Mesa to the Riviera was all wetlands. And of course, it's nice and flat, it's near water, so we built cities there. It really depends on which type of wetlands you're talking about. Coastal wetlands in many parts of the United States or many parts of the world are down to single-digit percentages. Inland wetlands, internal wetlands, freshwater wetlands, a little bit more of them are healthy. Okay, so now we get under the actual water line. Truly in water. First, we should talk about freshwaters. We're going to go from uphill to downhill. You should think of freshwater as a circulatory system. I'm going to use that analogy a whole lot. It's where stuff moves around. We have fast-moving flows at the top. I think I told you this already, right? Comes up all year. That fast-moving water can carry big stuff, but slow-moving water can't hold much of anything in it. We talked about this. Water flow segregates matter by mass. Someday, if you're bored, you might want to check out this poster back here. It's a map of all the world's rivers with nothing else in it, just the rivers. Anybody ever see the Body Works art exhibit? It's the dude that plastinates bodies and slices them into thin, and then makes like huge displays out of them. So if you haven't seen him, chances are you won't have a chance in the US because he's kind of been blacklisted because he's getting really freaky with that art.
Wait, what is it?
What's his name? Daniel something? Dave something? You saw the one in LA or the one in Las Vegas? Yeah.
I saw the one in
Who?
I saw the one in
Las Vegas, do you remember his name?
Wait, what is the artwork?
So the dude, he basically fossilizes humans in plastic.
Like who?
Corpses. Like he gets,
Like anyone?
you know how you can be like an organ donor?
Yeah.
He like, I don't know, Belgium or Germany or London or something, he like has like a big supply of people who volunteer to have their bodies used for art instead of used for science. And so he'll take human corpses, plastinate them, basically make them into like epoxy resin solids, and then he has really fancy saws that slice humans into these little tiny slivers.
Plastic, so these are plastic humans or the actual corpses?
They are both plasticated corpses.
They're like covered.
No, they're actually soaked in plastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so they were corpses.
Yes, they are.
Underneath.
They are corpses whose tissue has been like, whose liquid has been replaced by resin, I think is the right word.
Can I look it up?
That's nice.
No, but this dude made like an amazing set of art exhibits from corpses. And anyway, he has one which is a whole human circulatory system with no flesh, muscle, or bone. It's literally just all the veins and arteries. And every time I see that map of all the rivers, it makes me think of that guy's artwork. And I'm really into extreme art, and the guy does really extreme stuff. Apparently he had one of a woman who had died while pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
So it's sliced and you can see the fetus. And apparently that was kind of like a touchy subject for some visitors. And if I'm not mistaken, either him or one of his proteges has started making like copulatory poses before plastinating the humans. So like they show humans in coitus.
Why would he be blacklisted? Like, has he done anything illegal?
I think that. No, but like, you know, there's that obscenities defined by the community thing,
Right.
like the whole hustler hearings.
He's got like reported a lot.
It's just like
Too
disturbing.
extreme, or-
Yeah, I think a lot of people just find it to be a little bit too like, and I want to be sensitive to that. Like it's definitely extreme art.
Wow, what an interesting guy.
Oh, dude, like you hear him talk, and he like is responding to people who don't like his artwork, and he'll say some like extremely thoughtful, like the essence of humanity and art and science, and I'm like, bro, yeah. And then at the same time, he'll say some like just like mean, like so screw all those people or whatever. And it's like, bro, you gotta be a little more sensitive.
Like, how do you get into that?
I don't know, but I want to get into that. Like,
Don't be
I'm
like that.
so down. Okay. If I could donate my body to art, I'd be way more excited than donating it to science. Way more excited.
Probably can.
I don't know. I don't think you can in this country. Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think that was one of the big things. He's like, well, if they won't have you in America, whatever, it's a hassle to go anyway. All right, please look up. Please look up. Please look up. Please look up. one of the most important things for you to remember about rivers, and this is worth writing down, is that all rivers are fundamentally different. There's actually not that many species that can travel between rivers. Because the physical conditions of each river are different, the flow season, the temperature, the clarity, because rivers are so different, they are basically a whole set of diversity. Each river is kind of different from each other river. And I'm like crazy about, both of my children are named after rivers. Did you all know that? My daughter's middle name is Merced, and my son's middle name is Lyell, 2 separate rivers in Yosemite. I'm like totally crazy about rivers. I try to get into a river every day of summertime, and like I've swam in I think every river in California now, and like I really like rivers. And like every one of them is distinctly different. They have like a different feel and character. So there's rivers that are slow, rivers that are rocky, rivers that are shallow, rivers that are muddy, rivers that are sunny, rivers that are forested and shady, rivers that are really overgrown and vegetated, rivers that are really cold, and rivers that are really coastal. And so you should remember that one of the big things about rivers is you can't really talk about them as a single biome, because they're all so different. By the way, does anybody know where they're called river deltas? Because they're shaped like a delta. The Greek letter delta is a triangle, and when a river hits the ocean, it's lost its acceleration, right? Because eventually that river will reach sea level. So the river will kind of just like sprawl outward. And where that water sprawls outward at sea level, it makes a triangle shape like the Greek letter delta. You should add to your notes estuary, which is the place where freshwater and saltwater meet. Remember, they have super diversity because it's an ecotone. Saltwater community, freshwater community. If you went on the field trip, you saw what I mean.
Isn't that called like brackish water?
Yep. Estuaries have what we call brackish water, which is kind of salty. Unpredictable, shifty salinity. Brackish. And as a perfect example of estuaries, you could imagine a place just like this one, which I used to say was Ealing's, but I realize now this is not actually Ealing's. It just looks just like Ealing's. No, I mean Arroyo Hondo. But that's not the pit, actually. It looks like the pit, but it's not the pit. All these years I've been saying it's the pit. It's not the pit. Okay, estuaries, birds, fish. Okay, next. Intertidal is the place between the tides. The land between high tide and low tide. Where you would see a tide pool, you're in the intertidal. So that's intertidal. And you can imagine all the stuff from land washes down to here, and all the stuff from the ocean washes up to here. And there's like smashing waves, crashing waves. There's high tide, low tide, hot air, cold water, churning, activity of land animals, activity of ocean animals. You gotta be pretty tough to make it. They usually send their babies out to the ocean. But if you think about it, this is like a food disposal or like topsoil, because everything in the ocean gets washed up to decompose, and everything from land decomposes when it slaps against the water there. Basically, this is where large stuff gets broken up into little stuff to enter the oceanic food webs. This is like the food disposal, topsoil. And you probably know what I'm talking about because you're from Santa Barbara. So you've seen intertidal before, you've seen tide pools before. Next is the open ocean, which freaks me out. The open ocean, like blue water. One of my homies has sailed around the world a couple times, and I talked to him about blue water. He soloed around the world a couple times. And like, that's a special kind of courage. I don't know. I like to think I'm a fairly courageous person. I like to face my fears. It's not that I don't have them, but I don't like to let them stop me. But I'm not really sure that I'm ready to just like go into the open ocean by myself. Sorry, just called me out. I find the blue water really scary. You should know that there's like an inverted trophic pyramid where all the production happens right at the top. And a lot of my students don't realize that the little micro layer in the ocean is where all the oxygen comes from. Not from the trees on land. Trees on land produce about a quarter of maybe a third of our oxygen. Much more than half comes from the surface, like quarter inch of the ocean. That's where all the algae is. So that one little quarter inch sliver of the sea is where all the CO2 gets soaked up and all the oxygen comes out and all the sugars are made that sort of tumble through a digestive food web all the way to the bottom of the ocean. There's a lot of sea surface. So compare that productivity. Look at this. Look over here. Look over here. There's a whole lot of sea surface. And it's productive every day. There is not that much land surface, and a lot of our land surface has low productivity, like the desert. You know, the desert's not very productive, and this is the biggest biome. So that little surface layer, the micro layer in the ocean, is responsible for the majority of photosynthesis and the majority of carbon fixation and the majority of production, primary production. And so that like little bit of plankton which eats that phytoplankton, the zooplankton which eats the phytoplankton, that's probably the single greatest consumption resource on the planet. So the ocean, because it's so big, gets divided into way more niches than land, and there's way more layers in the trophic pyramid. Which means that the ocean has predators which eat predators, 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 that eat predators, that eat predators, that eat producers. Much bigger food webs in the ocean. Benthos is the bottom. We know very little about it. Almost everything at the bottom of the ocean comes because of gravity. Little crumbs of the food web in the open ocean. So there's all this creepy stuff in the bottom of the ocean that's evolved to find and capture things in the dark, extremely cold, under extreme pressures. I've heard that in the bottom of the ocean, a school bus can be compressed just by water pressure. It's in the size of a microwave. I don't know if that's actually true. You also might have heard about those hydrothermal vents. I think we'll talk about those right at the end of the period. Wetlands are sort of like, upwellings, excuse me, I messed up, excuse me. Upwellings are sort of like a wetland. Huge productivity boost right at the surface. Whole lot of food web, lots of fishing. We talked about upwellings in the previous unit, I believe, right? Upwellings?
Yeah.
Where offshore wind makes water come right to the surface. And finally, there's one exceptional ecosystem in that ocean, those vents that are not based on sunlight. This is the only ecosystem on Earth. that is immune from solar productivity? If I'm not mistaken, that's all the study goals and all the vocab in the unit. But the exam is Friday and this unit had a lot of skipping around, so did you miss anything that I can help you with? I am here to help you with anything left in Unit 3. Please check your notes. This is the last day before the exam. Yes?
I never got the definition of the word entropy for chapter 9.
Entropy is the lowest quality energy. It's energy that can't be used for anything. People also describe it as wasted energy, low heat, or chaos disorder. Do you remember, Grace, that we talked about like high quality energy sort of like being transferred to lower quality levels as it changes hands?
Yeah.
So like dynamite becomes moving stuff, becomes heat.
Yeah.
When that heat's all used up and you can't do anything good with it, you're basically left with energy that's too diffused to be useful. It's the lowest quality
And
energy.
that's called entropy.
Mhm.
You should tell us about your crazy experience.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe, but let's see how we're doing on the study goals.
You show us you falling.
What's that video?
10 mangrove swamp.
Yeah.
So that's it for study goals and vocab. Last call. Okay, Ruth, you want to hit the button one more time, please?